I'm thinking about the expectations that brand side representative has when they show up to their event to be part of that move in. And, my experience is very often that is, I don't know if this is still the current term, but the white collar executive, somebody who's a high level person at their company. And that could be a marketing manager, or it could be the chief marketing officer, right? But they're used to working off of a plan and people doing, and executing and things happening in that building on their team and their staff. And now they're transported to this on-site remote location, which is much different. And yet they're coming in with the mindset of, I'm in charge of this. I've just spent, like you said, six figures or whatever it is on this event. I made a couple of notes just before we started here on what I would call tension builders, things that I see on the show floor and I just wonder if first of all, who sets their expectations about what to expect? Because if you're thinking it's just going to go perfectly according to what your written playbook is, that's just not the industry we're in. So these are the things. Tell me if you recognize these. So on-site delays, things move slower on your 5-day move-in for whether it's your private event or it's the CES show, right? There are a lack of answers everywhere because there's so much happening. Something is either broken, damaged, or missing. And we, you don't know why. It's not what I was told. I've heard that from those brand side representatives that show up. P.S. Personal thought is not necessarily a good idea to have them show up on day one of a 3-day or 4-day move-in. They're just going to be really frustrated. The on-site conditions are different than what they expect. It might be Infocom show in Orlando in June, and it is 105 degrees and humid in that hall, and everybody's crabby in that moment. It could be a rainy day. It could be that there's a big fat column at the corner of your space blocking view, and you didn't know that. There's a lot of things on site that can be surprising. Wrong expectations, competitive stakeholders. We talked about that earlier about, it's the Sharks and the Jets. It's the Hatfields and the McCoys. It could be electricians and EACs. It could be AV and furniture people. It could be generals, contractors, and whomever. The reality is, and we all know this, 53% of professionals that work in our industry, the business event space, globally, are new. That means poor labor, new labor, or not enough labor, and all that again just adds to the mix. So, long way to say, could the people that are talking to those exhibitors, the last ones, maybe it's the exhibit house, maybe it's the agency, should they be doing a better job setting expectations about that move in and move out experience to help lessen the need to say no more, or to diffuse the tension? Is there something that could be done beforehand to make it a better situation?
I mean, so again, coming from the contractor world, I've been in the shoes where we've worked to address that. We have, educational pre-sessions. There's this ginormous show. We try to tell people all of these things. The problem is it's like dropping somebody off from a spaceship on an alien planet. A lot of times there's so much and so many variables. And whether it's the CEO who is now a complete fish out of water in this situation, or the new exhibit manager who's never done this before. And not only are we having a huge turnover in the workforce, it's the exhibit managers too, that we're seeing a massive turnover and the highest number of first timers in this situation. So there's a ton of education that needs to happen, but it's a lot at once. Like from the moment you arrive to understanding, I know your truck's here, but you're not going to see what's on that truck till tomorrow, and they're standing there going, but I'm here. I have people, I'm ready. it is extremely hard to educate in all facets of that. And you learn really fast, but every single time there can be one other challenge issue. And then as you move venues, municipalities, jurisdictions, everything changes there too. And or the show itself, different layouts, different branding methods. So all of that changes. So yeah, I would say, Chris, I wish we could, but you can't learn Chinese overnight. It's a whole
No.
immersive education that needs to happen. So there needs to be understanding that some of this is just going to continue happening. And that's, I think, where that empathy comes into place.
Yeah.
Like,
Have
I
you
understand.
found the worst time to try and educate them is in the heat of the moment on the show floor?
Oh,
Because
right. Don't recommend.
most people are,
So,
you know, yeah, I would agree. It's a tough. I mean, but if you were to say to an exhibitor who's like, "We're going to go to the NAB show for the first time," and what's that going to be like? And Julie's members at ESCA are responsible for building a 800,000 square foot or 1,000,000 square foot shopping mall in 5 days, fully functioning mall in 5 days. The EDPA members, clients are opening up a branch office for 3 days in that fully functioning mall. And the move in overlaps. And when I say fully functioning, and I always will coach a brand about, listen, it really is like opening up a branch office. You're going to think about your electrical, and you're going to think about if you need running water. And then sometimes there's catering and lunch, and who are you going to staff it with? And how are they going to behave in this unique and unnatural environment where you're not, if you're salespeople, as an example, and you're used to seeing 2 to 4 clients a day, if you're traveling to a city to make sales calls, well, you're going to do 200 3-minute presentations, pretty much all the same, one right after another tomorrow. So how's your behavior change? And without some direction. So you have all of this first time stuff going on. And again, when you have marketing and C-level executives that are used to being the leaders, and people listen, and they're more in control, and this is an environment where it's very difficult to be in control. Our topic here is solving problems in difficult situations, and I think what we're doing is we're painting the picture of it is a scenario ripe for difficult situations. And to Julie's point, man, is there anything that cuts through the noise and anger and frustration that an empathetic human being that is listening to you and says, we have a couple of options here. They're not unlimited. Let's run through what they are. And so you can make a decision about the best way forward. And that is just music. And unfortunately, we don't, to your point, Julie, I don't think there's enough of that. And I love the idea of let's get back to the service, the serve you culture. It's a privilege that they're there. The center of the circle for all of us, where all dollars emanate, is those exhibitors, right? The sponsors that come in there. And those are the ones we want to keep happy and coming back. And we can't just be new employees and frustrated and be rude because, maybe that new worker at the service desk is feeling overwhelmed. That's on us.
It's like a cartoon, right? You can picture like Elmer Fudd getting all frustrated and he's turning red. And as you walk up, you have an opportunity to make his head explode and just ignite that bomb. Or you have an opportunity to try and diffuse. And it is an opportunity, actually, and it's important to see it that way. So no, we can't train everybody on everything that's going to happen, but what we can do is train our people how to handle these incredibly tense, stressful situations. And I'll tell you what, I told you this, Chris, the other day, that you go to a store, buy something, and everything goes as planned. You picked your item out, you paid for it, you left. You never think about that transaction. It went exactly as expected, super boring. Right. You're not telling your friends about it. I went to Walmart and bought this gallon of milk. It was great. You don't share that. But if you go to Walmart and you buy the gallon of milk and you get home and it's spoiled and you go back and you're in line at customer service and you're ready to tell them how mad you are at it, and you get up there and oh my gosh, ma'am, I'm so sorry. Let me refund you and please go get another gallon of milk for the inconvenience of having to come back. I'm like looking around like, that was incredible. And now later on when I'm having a cocktail with my friends, I'm like, you guys aren't going to believe what happened at Walmart today. Now I'm sharing that experience, and now you've created a promoter, which is what we want, right? You want to share that experience. So it's not about the problem. And frankly, people need to not shy away from the problem, the issue, or the concern. They need to see it as an opportunity. You can
Mhm.
create a promoter, you can create a lifelong customer who says, I always want to go to shows where this person is the contractor, or this is my design builder, or, this association in this city. It was an amazing experience. And generally, it started with a bad one, and you're able to turn it around. So it's a huge opportunity, and that is statistically backed.